My name's Rod Green. I'm the Technical Art Director for Project Offset. I've been with the company, I think it's about 4 years. It gets a little hazy. I was one of the first employees of Offset. I came when it was still in the garage days. I moved down from Canada. I was working at a company called BioWare and saw some cool stuff that they were producing, some really cool tech and videos and game concepts, and I really wanted to be involved with that, so I made the move, packed up everything and came down to sunny California. Well, my first job was really probably I think it was probably the best experience I could have had for myself to get into the game industry. Like I didn't go to college or anything like that. I just straight out of high school I started working in the games industry, and I had a couple of guys. One guy, Ron Westbury, he was my art director, and he instilled a passion for making things clean and named correctly and structured and planned, which is imperative for technical artists because you have to write all this like technical documentation. And another guy, Alan, who was I would say my first experience with a true technical artist. He was a artist who could paint amazingly, draw stuff really well, but he could also program, and I was like amazed that he could bridge those two gaps. And those two guys taught me a lot just about understanding how the art interacts with the game engine. So I'm sort of glad I didn't get a pure artist as a mentor at those early stages. That helped me through. My job varies from trying to explain the technical to people who don't understand it to explain the technical to people who do understand it. So there's an art component and there's more like a programming or technical component. The art component is basically understanding how the artists want to work, understanding their environment, their tools, their methods, things like that. And then the technical component is understanding how all that works and being able to communicate between the programmers and the artists and make sure everyone is working in synergy. So basically you end up being like a middleman. Probably use everything. So I use everything the artists use to a degree. Not as in-depth as they use it. I have to understand how it works, but not necessarily be able to do as much work as they can do, because I'm not as artistically skilled as they are. And then on the programming side, I end up using text editors and interfaces for all that kind of stuff, like compiling the editor and things and debugging stuff. And then I do a lot of text editors just for doing scripting and things like that. So it's I pretty much cross the whole gamut. So when someone says, what software do you need? I say, just give me everything and I'll work out what I don't need from that point. I don't think we have fully tapped into the power of what multiprocessing can do. A lot of people have stepped up in a sort of cursory mode with it and just said, okay, we'll just give this to one processor and this to another, like very sort of linear divide, very easy. I think over the years it will get better. Like hopefully we can start doing some pretty cool stuff with our engine and take more advantage of that. But I've definitely seen an improvement in speed. Just because of, I think people are getting smarter with how they program, because they have to be smarter with the multiprocessor, because you have to be more careful about how you structure everything. And then they end up getting the advantage of having like another computer there to process another chunk of problems, right? So it's definitely gotten faster. So the Offset engine is it's been designed with a philosophy, and this is part of why I was so attracted to come to Offset. They sort of thought about it and said, well, this is like Sam and Travis and Trevor, they're like, well, how do we make the artist's life as easy as possible? And as a technical artist, like, that's my job. So I'm like, okay, these guys are thinking along the lines that I like, so let's go there and check it out. And it's really true. It's a philosophy, but it's also like implemented. So every time we have a question, it's like, how do we make this tool, or how can I improve the artist's life? That it's like, we ask the artist. They're the #1 customer, so that's what matters. Rather than a programmer just implementing a feature and saying, well, this is how I think it should work. The artists are the guys who say, no, I want it to look like this. So you get everything from really fast iteration, which helps a lot with development, especially with small teams creating big projects. You get WYSIWYG, so everything, the editor is the game. There is no like disconnect there, so you can press play at any point. We make sure that the artists don't have to do too much back and forth and data management. It's all tends to be handled in the background and as much automation as possible. Currently, my top game is Street Fighter 4. I'm kind of obsessed with that, but I'm also obsessed with the technicalities of joysticks. I'm building my own little joystick at home. Actually, I'm building a bunch. All time, I think, what would I say my favorite game? Syndicate. It's an old game, and I think there's a niche fan group out there somewhere, but I think they're remaking it actually out here somewhere. But it's a game I can replay to this day and still love. Rock 'n' Roll Racing. It's a old Blizzard game that I don't know if many people have heard of it really, but I played that on Super Nintendo. Like I used to rent it, and it was always the game that seemed to be stolen the most from video stores. I think because people just didn't want to give it back. So that's a good sign for that game. I'm Rod Green. Thanks for listening. I hope there was some information in there that might help you in your career, or if not, help you get more interested, and come check us out at www.projectoffset.com.